Okay, good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo First with Nafshi. This is our second year in Mishna Berura. We're a few weeks before Tisha B'Av, so we're learning the halachas which are relevant to Tisha B'Av. Hopefully be a day of simcha and joy, and not a fast. Hashem is Baruch. But just in case, we'll still Talmud Torah Kenegi Kulam, and actually what will Hashem bring joy to Tisha B'Av is our learning. If we learn, and we learn properly, that will bring us to tshuva, and through tshuva we can bring the Gula Mitzvah Hashem. So Tav Kuf Nun Vav, let's just review the Mechaber again. We'll see further in the Mishna Berura. We started yesterday. Luke, like to begin reading a bit?
Le'al Tisha B'Av, Shechal ve'echad b'Shabbat. The evening of Tisha B'Av that falls on Saturday night, I guess, Sunday morning. Kishe ro'eh haner omer borei ha'esh. When you see the candle, then you say the blessing for the candle, brings forth the light of the candle. Ve'ein mevarech al ha-b'samim, but you do not use spices.
Right.
U'balel motzei Tisha B'Av, and on the evening of the day after Tisha B'Av, mavdil bein hakos, you make havdalah on a cup of wine. Ve'eno mevarech lo al haner, and you don't make a blessing on the candle. Below al habasamim, and you don't make a blessing on spices.
Okay. Very good. Let's see the Mishna Berura. Sivkat ma'al. Now there are a few olives there, so you want the one over here. There are a few olives because there are 2 or 3 simonim on this page, so you want the one beginning in the beginning of the big block of text, right? Aleph kishiroya aner.
Kishiroya aner, kule. When you see the candle, dizeh ein ta'un kos. This is not something of a cup. It's not ta'un.
It doesn't require a cup. Meaning the bracha on the nair of Havdalah doesn't require that you take a cup of wine, right, to make that bracha. So therefore, since it's Tisha B'Av now, it's Motzei Shabbos, it's Tisha B'Av, you're forbidden to eat or drink. So therefore, you can't take a kais of wine or grape juice to make Havdalah on. But since the bracha on the nair of the creation of light, which we commemorate on Motzei Shabbos, with the exit of Shabbos, since that doesn't require you to drink a cup of wine, so when you see the candle, when you light a candle, when you see the candle, then you can make it simply that one bracha all by itself. And that'll be made depending on the situation. It may be made in shul, right? Most likely be made in shul for the congregations gathered there. But the women, for example, that are maybe at home, or children that are at home, right, and not going necessarily to shul, so sometimes they'll we'll see if they make it themselves. Perhaps sometimes the husband can make the bracha on the nair before he goes to shul, right? Depending when the minyan's going to be, right? You have to be careful though that if the minyan's too early, you don't want to start doing malacha, right? Lighting the nair is a malacha, so you have to say a bracha mavdil b'kodesh l'chol before you light the nair, because you haven't davened ma'ariv yet, right? So you're making bracha on the nair. We're going to get to later also. We're going to have to change your clothes and all kinds of other things, from your Shabbos clothes to your weekday shoes and other things like that before you go to shul, right? Depending when you go to shul, right? And we'll have to talk about when you stop eating, right? People are having shalosh shudas, right? The third meal on Shabbos, right? When do you stop eating? When is the fast on Motzei Shabbos, right? We're just talking about Havdalah. That's a little bit down the line. There are a lot of other things we have to discuss, how to behave with our halachas of Shabbos and the halachas of Tisha B'Av. They're interfacing at this point. Sunset and Binish Moshes and Seitz Chachavim, time to daven, when to take off the shoes, when to stop eating, when to change your clothes, Right? All these things we'll be discussing as time goes on. Right? But now we're just discussing the actual making of Havdalah. Right? So Ner, the bracha on the Ner you can make when you see the Ner, and obviously it has to be after Shabbos is completely out, right? Whatever time you keep according to your regular halacha. And because the bracha on the Ner doesn't require a cup of wine. Okay.
Ve'en bezeh mishum ta'anug. And there is not in this because of ta'anug. I don't know what ta'anug is.
That's relaxation, enjoyment.
Enjoyment, right? Pleasure, right? Meaning, again,
This is not because of it.
Ve'en bezeh mishum tanug, meaning by seeing the Ner, by seeing the light of the Ner, there's not in this the aspect of pleasure, right? So therefore, that there's nothing wrong with lighting a candle and getting light from the candle and making a bracha on the candle and that light that you see from the candle, because there's no benefit, there's no pleasure gained from that light. Okay?
Right. Kamo shegesh bin samim. Because like there is, if there was spices, then there would be a certain tanug.
Right, you enjoy that, right? That was the whole point we saw with the bris milah, right? That they don't, even if they are accustomed to take Yesomim out of bris milah on Tisha B'Av, they don't, because you're supposed to reduce your tanug, your pleasures on Tisha B'Av.
Vivarech al haor kodem shekorin echa, and you bless the blessing of light before you read echa.
Right. Now this obviously under most situations is referring to in shul, right? Where they're going to be reading Echa, most likely in the Beit Knesset, in shul, and in the synagogue, right? Not necessarily at home. That won't be the normal case. So when you have the end of Ma'ariv, so you'll take out they'll take for the congregation, the tzibur, they'll take a candle, and everyone will see the candle, make the bracha, Rei Morei Ha'esh, and then after that they'll read Eich, right? So again, as it will be, we'll maybe discuss separately about family members who aren't going to be in shul. What are they supposed to do? They can on their own. They can light their. Now, whether women do that is another story. We'll get to that. Okay, let's continue.
Ve'echa kasi v'macha shakim hoshivani. Because in Echa, it is written, I don't know this phrase.
Now that's what choshech is darkness. The machashakim hoshiveni, right? In the darknesses, you made me dwell. You made me dwell in darkness, right? So therefore, Echa, right? Echa contains aspects of darkness in it, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to make the light of the Ner before you read those statements that have references to darkness, which are contained in the verses of Echa.
Al Kain, therefore, Yivarech Techila al Hamor. You bless first on the light. V'gam sheyehaneh achar kach me'oro shekorim echa. And also sheyehaneh, that you get hana, you get pleasure,
benefit.
Get benefit afterwards from the light when you read Echa.
So since when you're going to be reading the Megillas Echa, you need light, right? You need light to read, right? So it makes sense that you make the bracha on the Ner, on the light first, and then you get benefit from the light. Now, this is a whole question. When we make the bracha on the Ner, right? Is that what we call a matir, that you can now get benefit from light? That when you make Havdalah, right? Your Havdalah allows you to do malacha. Person says any
Havdalah was for eating, and Shmona Esrei was for Melacha. Adachon Antana was for work,
Right.
and Abdallah was for eating. No?
Right. Okay. Good. Well, to tell you the truth, like we really need to look at it. There are different things, different opinions, there are different concepts and ideas being expressed here. So when you make a bracha on the light, is that allowing you to get benefit from light now?
This seems to imply it.
Seems to imply it, right? Right. Well, if we'll take a look. I don't know if we'll do it now, but you look over there in the Hilchos Shabbos. It could be the reason we make the bracha on the oars on Motzei Shabbos is because it's commemorating what Rishon went through, right? So that's not necessarily a reason why it would matter light. Really, when you say bracha matter b'kodesh HaKol, you can do any malacha in the world now, right? Anything's permitted for you to do, right? So why should there's something about making lights that's going to be more specifically prohibited until you make a bracha on the oar, on the light? It could be that our commemoration of what Rishon went through, and he was given the intelligence to discover how to make fire and therefore light, right? We want to give thanks to that before we begin enjoying the benefits of light during the coming week. But really, in terms of malacha, in terms of doing prohibited work, which is prohibited on Shabbos, really we can do any work now once we send Baruch Tamav B'Kodesh L'Chol, right? But it could be we want to do another special extra thing of give thanks to HaKodesh Baruch Hu before we get benefit from light. We want to make a special thanks to HaKodesh Baruch Hu for what Adam Rishon was privileged to do when he first discovered light on Motzei Shabbos.
But that's a praise you're doing on if he's doing it for that reason, then it's a praise you're doing on Tisha B'Av that you're not supposed to do.
So
Right.
praise. I'm not sure if it's forbidden to give praise on Tisha B'Av. That we haven't really seen. To get what he said to get tanug, right? He said there's no tanug. Right. But the fact that he's mentioning, right, that it's appropriate to make the bracha on the ner before you read Eicha, right? Because now you're getting, if you would read by reading Eicha, you're getting benefit from the light, right? Also, this is according to this reason. Maybe it's not so simple to say, well, if a person's going to want to have his family have a bracha on the ner, but he hasn't heard Eicha yet, right? If he's at home and he's let's say, for example, my Rav Tisha will probably be now. Rabbeinu Tam is about 9 o'clock. Say that's Rabbeinu Tam. So maybe most minyanim will start maybe perhaps 8:45. Let's say 8:45, right? So some minyanim, by the way, may delay the Ma'ariv, right? So people have a chance for Shabbos to come out. You want to have Shabbos come out completely, right? So let's say Shabbos. Let's go with Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam says 9 o'clock. Right? Why should we make up times? We'll look at the exact time. Let's look and we'll see when it is. This one is upside down.
No.
Somebody turned it the other way.
Oh, cool.
You have to put a label here.
Yeah, somebody else did that. The
No,
label
you
is
should
where
put
your
it here.
hand
You
is.
should put it here to cover the heading, because that's people see it. They turn it the other way. They don't realize. So you got to cover the bottom.
Okay. Rabbeinu Tam on Motzei Shabbos, Tisha B'Av this year is 9 o'clock.
Okay.
9 o'clock. Let's say people are not going to keep 9 o'clock. They keep, what, 45 minutes? But
It's about that much.
about 45 minutes. So Rabbeinu Tam 72 minutes, 45 minutes,
Okay, make it
quarter to 9.
Yeah, okay.
So usually, let's say in a regular Motzei Shabbos, they would daven 8:45, right? That's
Regular
what,
people? Regular people start at 8:20.
8:20.
I mean, that's what we
Yeah.
did last week. So
Fine, we'll go 8:20. 8:20. Regular people,
Fine.
right? 8:20. It could be on Motzei Shabbos they're going to start at 8:30. They're going to delay it another 10 minutes.
Right.
Why delay it another 10 minutes? Because they want Shabbos to come out for regular people at 8:20. Give them 2-3 minutes to change into their weekday clothes, take off their shoes, put on the Tisha B'Av shoes, whatever they're going to wear, right? And then come to shul, right? After Shabbos, they'll come to shul, and so now, at that point, with those
10 minutes is not enough to do that.
maybe they'll give you 15, 20 minutes. Okay, every minyan according to what they decide to do, right? But many minyan maybe they won't do it. You come the way you come, and that's your problem. We daven 8:20, and 8:20 is when we do it. Other minyanim, they may take in consideration that people do and should and have to change out of their Shabbos clothes and out of their Shabbos shoes, whatever, right? And so they want people to come properly dressed for Tisha B'Av. But yet you can't cheat on Shabbos, right? And take these things off before Shabbos, because that'll be a zilzul Shabbos, right? It'll be a zilzul, a disgracing Shabbos by putting on weekday clothes on Shabbos, right? Which could be an issur d'oraisa, could be close to an issur d'oraisa, right? So some minyanim, I don't know if they all do it, they're going to give you 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes extra. So let's say, so I mentioned, what about the family that's not going to be coming to shul, right? Let's say you have a person who's not so well, or maybe he's older, he doesn't go to shul, he's elderly, he doesn't go to shul, he's not going to hear eicha, right? But what about the ner? So sometimes the head of the house may want to make the bracha on the ner before he leaves for shul. According to this Mishna Berura, right, that you should make the bracha on the ner right before, right, you hear eicha, right? So that's pretty good, right? Because you're going to do it, you want to make that bracha before you hear the Megillah's eicha.
So every time you finish Marv, and before Marv, you have after Marv. But then you have no suffix, and then you can do it, so you won't be into a problem.
Oh, so, well, again, you could do it before, you could do it after. The only question is this concept of being benefiting from light without having the bracha said beforehand. The family's going to turn on the lights. They're not going to sit around in the house. Well, again, you have to know. See, you know what it was like in Europe. They didn't have electric lights. They didn't have long candles that would last 26 hours, right? They may have had gas. They may have had oil candles which would last. But in many cases, I know that the yeshiva, if I'm not mistaken, the yeshiva in Yeshiva's Mir, that the candles. We think, you buy a bottle of candle lighting oil, for 12 shekels for $3. That's nothing for us. They had money for those things in Europe. They think they had oil running around wild like that. You just to keep something burning for 24 hours, you have to use up maybe a half a liter of oil. They didn't do that. They had enough oil that they put into their candles for the night. At nighttime, whenever it came, the candles went out. Everyone went to sleep. You woke up, it was daytime. The next day, right, when Shabbos was getting close to end, sunset, it got dark. In the Yeshiva's Mir, the Mishkiach, the Rosh Yeshiva, the whole yeshiva would come into the yeshiva, and he would give a lecture in the dark. Everyone would sit there in the dark, and he would give a lecture in the dark. Right? Then it came to Zman. Came time, so the Gabbai, he would say Baruch HaMavdav and Kodesh L'Kol, and he would go around and light the various candles, whatever they had prepared. They had probably candles with oil prepared, not lit before Shabbos, and he would go around lighting them, and people would have light to David Meyer with, right? So but the lights stay on all Shabbos, and they're on Shabbos timers, Shabbos clocks, wherever. But so Motzei Shabbos, right? We're getting benefit from light without having that bracha of al morera eish being said, right? So there's an advantage to say it for the family, perhaps, before you leave for shul, which actually I guess it's really okay, right? Because it says, right, we say Yivarech ala or kodim shikora eiki. You should make the bracha on the light of the candle before you read the eicha, right? Because it has the pasuk, right? The pasuk, right? And therefore, you make the bracha also first on the light of the candle. Also, that you should be then afterwards when you're reading the Megillah's eicha. So that'll be good. So actually, it works out perfectly. It works out very good. If you want to go to shul and there'll be people in the family who are not going to hear the bracha in the shul on the ner, right? So you say bracha malchut and kodesh v'chol, and then you can light a candle and make the bracha on the eicha.
So if we want to be able to benefit from the light,
Yes.
when we say eicha,
Right.
why do we have the custom that we make it dark in the shul?
Oh, so the custom of making it dark in the shul, that increases our sense of mourning, right? Light is a joyous thing. As a matter of fact, there are opinions on Shabbos, right? That if you don't have your candles should be where you eat. Your kiddush should be said where you have your candles, right? And because one way of adding joy to a specifically to a meal is to have candles. Right? To have candles. It's known throughout the world. You have a dining event. You light candles. It's not even just in previous times. Even in our times when we have plenty of lights here, many times people light special candles or lights on a dining room table. It's going to be of a special occasion. So having light adds joy. When darkness, gloom, that adds to the mourning, the sense of sorrow that we're supposed to experience on Tisha B'Av.
So why don't we don't say this bracha on Leil Tisha B'Av? Because it brings joy.
Well, you need to make that bracha. First of all, it's being indicated to us that it's not so proper to get benefit from the light without giving thanks to HaKodesh Baruch Hu that we have the ability to make light. Right? That's number one. Number two is that the joy that we experience, as the Yeshiva said, right, it may be somewhat joyful, but it's not ein b'zeh mishum tanug. There's no tanug. There's no actual pleasure. You can't say there's pleasure. It might add to joy. It might add to make a nice ambience in the environment, but it's not a tanug. It's not an actual pleasure. You only see, as far as I know, I have to check this out. As far as you only see the point about keeping the candles dimmed in the Beit Knesset and the house. I don't think it's brought down. I don't remember seeing it specifically that you should have the candles in the house dimmed.
I never seen it.
So there's no Tana, but there is Hana.
Yeah, Hana you definitely get Hana, sure.
So Hana is benefit as opposed to joy.
Joy, pleasure. Tanug is pleasure, right? Oinig, Shabbos, of course, Shabbos oinig. Shabbos is supposed to be an oinig. You're supposed to eat good food on Shabbos. Why do we eat good food on Shabbos? Right? Because you're supposed to have Shabbos is supposed to be a day of pleasure. Right? And benefit is hana, simple benefit. It doesn't have to necessarily. Sometimes you have hana from things you don't necessarily get pleasure from. Okay, let's continue a bit more.
De'i shechach Yivarech achar kach b'layla kevan shehachiyuv adayin alav. Ve'im shachach.
If he forgot.
And if he forgot to bless afterwards at night, since that the obligation is still upon him.
Right, so let's say for some reason he forgot to make the bracha al ner, right? You can make a bracha afterwards since he still has a chiyuv.
Meaning after Mariv?
After Mariv, maybe
after Eicha?
After Eicha, maybe it even extends to a couple of days later. Maybe it could. Did he think?
Right, but you don't make. You make Abdullah on
So
Sunday.
it's
only the night that
only that makes a Shabbos. Exactly, right. It doesn't extend anymore. Havdalah can extend till Yom Shlishi.
But you could make it until Alyssa Shachar?
I have to take a look. Possibly. Olas Hashachar that's the beginning of day, and up until Olas Hashachar is still night. So in theory, have to check. We don't guess at halacha. Have to check and see what's actually written about it. But in theory, it should be okay. Yeah. Okay, a couple more minutes. We can go further.
V'leil Motza'ei.
So this is talking about now. Oh, that's what you did on Motzi Shabbos, which is Tisha B'av. Now, what are you supposed to do on Motzi Tisha B'av after the fast ends?
Right.
What are you supposed to do?
Uvaleil Tisha B'av Mavdil Batafila on the night of Tisha B'av. We say Hamavdil. We say Havdalah in the prayer in the Arvi prayer.
Right. So Motzi Shabbos, which is the beginning of the fast of Tisha B'av, right, or Tisha B'av Nidcha, whatever it is in our case this year. So when you daven Ma'ariv, you're supposed to say Havdalah Tatachantenu in Ma'ariv of
Oh, so
Tisha
you
B'av.
already said it.
So you said it already because that's going to help you. That's going to allow you to do Malacha, right?
Ba'afal pi, and even though she'ein yachol lehavdil az al hakos, and even though that you were not able to say Havdalah on a cup because you couldn't because you're fasting, im ta'a az velo hivdil b'tefillah. The im Ta is the reason.
You make a mistake.
If you made a mistake concerning this, and you didn't make Havdalah during you skipped a Shir Chanatana.
Right. He for some reason or other, he didn't say it while he was davening Ma'ariv, right?
Ein tzarich lechazor. You're not required to repeat the Shmona Esrei. Kevan sheyavdil al hakos b'motzei Tisha B'av, because you are able to say Havdalah then Motzi Tisha B'av.
Right. But
you didn't do it on purpose.
No, don't do it. But what's he supposed to do? He's supposed to say he's got to be Mavdil still, right? I mean, he wasn't Mavdil in Tefillah. He doesn't have to go back and say his Shmona Esrei. Should he say it in Shema Kolenu? Sure. In general, you don't, because in general you're going to be Mavdil on a koyis when you get home. Or in shul, right?
That night, not the next night.
Right, but here it's going to be the next night.
Right.
So normally, if he didn't say Atach Hamantano by Havdalah in Tefillah, so soon afterwards before he's going to be doing Malacha, right? Right, he's going to say it. He's going to Mabam. So, but in this case, he's not going to say it till the next day, and he's definitely going to be doing Malachas between this Ma'ariv of Tisha B'av and this Ma'ariv of Motzi Tisha B'av, right? So I would hope the Mishnah Berurah is going to tell you what you should do. You're supposed to say, right, Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'chol. He's going to have to say at least that. Oh, good, okay.
But doesn't it say here, you can say it the next day?
No, that Havdalah you're going to be saying the next day. But Malacha, you're going to want to do Malacha, right?
Right.
You can't cook. You can't prepare for much of your Tisha B'av. You can't you give kids to eat. You can't do nothing.
But what it's saying is, since you can say Havdalah on Motzi Tisha B'av.
Right. So therefore, Tefillah you don't go back, which is
Right.
which is like every other Motzi Shabbos. Also, a person forgets Atachon Tano, any Motzi Shabbos, he does not go back in his davening because he's going to be saying
Because you're going to say
Havdalah
Havdalah,
Kos.
right? But here, you're not going to be saying it
Right away.
right
You'll
away.
be
You're
saying
going to go a whole day,
24 hours later. You'll be saying.
and now you have the problem that you couldn't do Malacha.
Right, so what are you supposed to do? Now, first of all, we go now, let's talk, what about the women, yeah?
V'hanashim she'enan yodot lehispalel v'lo hivdilu b'motza'ei Shabbos batefila, and the women that they do not know to pray.
And you have to realize that we're very fortunate. We have Sidurim, right? And also the girls go to Beis Yaakov, they have an education. But in previous generations, first of all, they didn't necessarily have an education to be able to even read. And also they he didn't have a siddur to read from.
Right.
So they were never really taught the rote, Baal Peh. They were never memorizing the prayers. So they didn't daven Meir. And Meir, in general, they didn't daven regularly.
Okay, I understood everything you said up until you said that they didn't memorize the prayer. Why did they memorize the prayers? They could do that.
They weren't
They were
taught.
school, they were
And then Meir, they weren't Mechayev. They were never Meir obligated to
Oh,
daven Meir.
because they're women and not obligated. That's right. That's right.
Meir, they weren't.
And they don't say Havdalah on the night after Shabbos in the prayer.
Right?
So women who don't know how to pray, they don't say Havdalah in their prayer. Tarich kol ish lahaz hiran she b'yom ha-ta'anis lo ya'asu esh levashel b'tzorech halayla. So for it's necessary for every man to return
To Lazir, to warn them.
to warn that day of the day of the fast. Don't make a fire to cook for the coming night,
Right.
because they can't do malacha.
Right. They haven't been mavdil. They didn't say Havdalah.
Ad she yomru hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol, until they're going to say Havdalah.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon the men to go and warn the women that it's not our normal procedure where we say Havdalah together after Shabbos. Therefore, don't do malacha. But I thought you said we have to do malacha.
Well, they normally will, but the question is, on a regular Motzei Shabbos, they probably say Havdalah with the family gathered together, and the father, head of the household, says Havdalah, and everyone Yotzi soon after Shabbos goes out, right? So they don't normally do malacha before Havdalah.
Right.
So they may not be used to saying Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, right? But here, where there's not going to be a Havdalah till the next night, you have to warn them, don't do any malachas until they say Baruch HaMavdil.
Well, why don't
Ben
they
Kodesh
just
L'Chol.
warn them, say Baruch HaMavdil, and then you can light the fire and
That's basically what he's saying. You should say don't do any malachas
until you
until
say
it's Baruch HaMavdil. That's right.
Well, it doesn't say Baruch HaMavdil. It says HaMavdil B'Kodesh L'Chol.
That's what
Shiyomru Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol.
Oh, that is Baruch HaMavdil. What am I saying? Okay, that's not Havdalah. That's Baruch HaMavdil.
Okay, we'll have to stop here and continue on tomorrow.